Shalom. This is Truth is Everlasting. Mine is Den. I am Yahweh Sop. I camp out with Lion Den Hawan Ben Yeshua in Jacksonville, Florida. But first I have to give a prayer to the Father, to the Son, to the elders, to the archons, and to the women and children in Paleo Hebrew, around to the people around our people around the world. Salakia. Ka Halayim La Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Bahashem Ha Roka Kodash Mahama, in the name of Yahweh Shai, in spirit and holy and in truth. Double honors to the 144,000 chosen elect. Double honors to the elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder Hawam. Salutations to the archons on the four corners of the earth, and to the women and children. Shalom. Okay. Well, very interesting video popped up in the spirit movement to do a lesson. It says here, banned DNA study exposed the shocking true origin of what? Black Americans. Just for the record, we're not black with different shades of color, but the head tribe of all tribes is dark skinned and the tribe of Judah. The same tribe that Yahweh Shai comes from. I'm going to put a little bit of it, and then I'll go into the lesson. The title of this lesson is called, He Covers the Faces of the Judges. Okay? Here we go.
I know you wouldn't believe this, but what if everything you were taught about black history in America was a blatant lie? Not just distorted, not just incomplete, but deliberately rephrased. You were told your roots began in chains, that your ancestors were stolen from West Africa and brought to America as slaves. Period. End of story. But what if that's only part of the truth? Or worse, a carefully constructed myth? A banned DNA study, buried for years, uncovered something so explosive it threatened to expose the very foundation of American history. The results of this study is that Black Americans are not just descendants of Africans. The data pointed to something far deeper, far older, and far more powerful, a strong genetic presence in ancient Native American populations. And even more shocking, evidence that black people were in the Americas long before Columbus ever set sail. So ask yourself, who buried this study? Why were its findings suppressed? And what are they so afraid of you discovering? This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is genetic science, dismissed because it didn't fit the narrative. It challenges everything: textbooks, race categories, even land rights. Because if black Americans didn't just arrive on slave ships, if they were already here, then the system we live under was built on more than slavery. It was built on erasure. And now, the truth is rising back to the surface through DNA. This is the story they never wanted you to hear. And once you do, you'll never see your identity the same again. For generations, we've been fed the same watered-down version of Black American history. A version that starts abruptly in chains, sails across the Atlantic, and begins in 1619 with nothing but sorrow, captivity, and struggle. We're told that Black Americans are the descendants of enslaved Africans who were taken from West Africa, stripped of culture, and dropped into America's brutal plantation system. That's it. End of story. No past, no complexity, no deeper roots. But here's the problem. That narrative is not just incomplete. It was designed that way. It was crafted to erase everything that came before the boats. If our story starts in chains, then freedom looks like a gift, not a birthright. If our history begins with slavery, then identity becomes survival, not sovereignty. This mainstream version erases agency. It removes thousands of years of rich, complex cultural identity, both African and indigenous. It disconnects Black Americans from the land, from lost tribes, from spiritual roots that predate European arrival. And that's not an accident. History as we know it was written by the victors, the colonizers, the lawmakers, the textbooks. They didn't just conquer lands. They redefined people, reclassified entire populations, erased tribes, and renamed nations, and made sure Black Americans never fully knew who they were, only who they were told to be. But here's where things take a turn. In recent years, something powerful has been quietly challenging this whitewash narrative. DNA, cold, hard biological evidence that doesn't lie, doesn't have bias, and doesn't need permission to speak. And what's revealing? It's not just shocking, it's revolutionary, because DNA is uncovering connections Black Americans were never supposed to know, and histories they were never meant to reclaim. So now we have to ask, what if Black Americans didn't just come from Africa, but were already here? What if the truth was buried, not in the ocean, but in our blood? And what if the biggest lie was that your story began in chains, when really, it began with kings, nations, and untold power? Let's go deeper. What if your blood could speak? What if it could whisper the names of ancestors erased from history and shout the truth that textbooks refuse to tell? That's the power of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is the microscopic thread of life found in every cell of our bodies. It's the biological code that determines everything from your skin tone to your hair texture. But it also holds something far deeper, your ancestry, your story. And here's what they don't tell you. DNA doesn't lie, but the people who interpret it can. Now, let's break.
Let's stop right there. Woo! That's intense. Huh? You know, the only thing that I can share also about this video, that even though they keep talking that our people are Africans, they're not Africans, okay? Do we have a lot of our people living in Africa? Yeah, of course we do. But it doesn't make them Africans, okay? Africans are from the tribe of Ham, okay? The so-called Negros, Latinos, and Speckled Birds, the 12 tribe, we're from the tribe of Hebrews, right? Israelites. I want to go to Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? It's asking a question, by the way, right? You would think that by now, the 501c3 incorporated Christian churches would have answered that question to our people that keep going to these incorporated Edomite churches, Satan churches, to make it more clear. Then we go to Deuteronomy. Give me a minute. Chapter 28. Start with verse 43. Give me a minute. Here we go. The stranger that is within thee shall go up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So who went very high? The Edomites, right? You know, we came down because, one, we gave the finger to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, right? We started worshiping pagan holidays. Believe it or not, 2025, our people are still doing that. At least 2/3 of our people, so-called Negros, Latinos, Americans, and Speckled Birds. I want to go now to verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Boy, it's no fun being the tail, right? Okay, I want to jump to verse 13. Give me a minute. 13. Verse 13. And Yahweh shall make thee the head and not the tail. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearkens unto the commandments of Yahweh, thy power, which I commanded thee this day, to observe and to do them. You know, our people, so-called Negros, Latinos, and Speckled Birds that go to these 501c3 incorporated churches, can't say they didn't read this, right? Because they have gone to Christian college, right? Some of them for 5, 8 or 10 years. So they've read the Bible, right? But then again, if they keep on not repenting or want to be stiff-necks, right, they will not hear the call. And Yahweh, through his son Yahushua, will not wake you up to it. I want to go to Hebrew chapter 9. Give me a minute. Chapter 9, verse 22. So now we know who are the true owners of this country, right? The 12 tribes of Yahweh. Verse 22, I said, yeah. And almost all things are by the law, purged with blood, and without shedding of blood, there's no remission. See what happens when we give the finger to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai? We do not gain understanding, right? And then these 501c3 incorporated churches want to keep telling our people that Yahweh Shai, which they ignorantly call him Jesus when he's not. He doesn't have blue eyes, long blonde hair, right? Light scale, so-called white, as they like to call it, the Edomites, that likes to wear high heels. That's that man's real name is Caesar Borgia, son of a pope. Look it up, okay? I want to go to Leviticus. Salakia. Give me a minute. Leviticus chapter 17, verse 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement of your soul. For it is the blood that makes an atonement for the soul, right? So, we got some of our people that believe that if you can follow all 613 laws, right, you'll be saved. That is impossible. Number one, we live in a sinful body. Number one, we live in a kingdom that is not our kingdom, it is our hell. Right? So we can only do some of the laws to the best of our ability with that. So that's how we need Yahweh Shai. It's what I want to say. Let me go to Job chapter 5. Give me a minute. Job chapter 5, verse 17. Behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh corrects. Therefore despise not thou the chastising of the Almighty. Verse 18. For he makes sore and binds up, he wounds, and his hands make whole. Right? But what happens? That our people, 2/3 of our people, right, so-called Negros, Latino, and speckled birds, love to go to these Edomite buildings for all things, right? When you should be going to the Bible and pray in the name of Yahweh Shai, going into herbs, right, exercising. Let me point something out when I say exercising. Then I say why I can say this, okay? No matter how old you are, you still have to exercise. So if you're 80 or 90, you still got to exercise, right? If you're 110, you still got to exercise. Now, why I can say that so confident, so boldly? Well, because I had the honor of training people that were 110 years old. You see? Man or woman. Anyway, moving on. Hebrew. Chapter 12, verse 5. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaks unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastising, or chastening, Salakia, of Yahweh, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. Right? Now remember, the Father sends who? The Son. Right? All the angels to kick ass. Right? So exhortation, it says here, an address, when you're being addressed, or communication, emphatically urging someone to do something. Emphatically means in a forceful way. Yeah, if you're going to keep ignoring Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai, he's going to be consistent in kicking our people's ass, right, to get your attention, because he loves us, right? Now, if you don't want to wake up because you want to run to Egypt for all things and take these other things in your body that causes you not to hearken to the word of Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai, well, that's because you are very wicked. Okay? That's another way I can put it. I want to go to Romans chapter 5. Give me a minute. Chapter 5, verse 8. But Yahweh commands his love towards us, in that while we were yet sinners, Yahweh Shai died for us. How you like that? To have somebody, right, of great power from heaven come down and live in the flesh, right, so that we can be saved. Talking about strong and true love, huh? Verse 9, much more than being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. So when I see my people, so-called Negros, Latino American speckled birds, celebrate these pagan holidays, right? 2025, and you're still doing that when you can look them up in the internet while you still can, but you don't want to? Okay. You say you love your wife and your sons and daughters and your babies. Well, get ready when Yahweh Shai takes them away from you. What he gives, he takes away. Job 23. Give me a minute. Chapter 23, verse 11. My foot has held his steps. His way have I kept, and not declined. Verse 12. Neither have I gone back from the commandments of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. Yeah, if you're going to make your food, your lust, and the things of this world more important than Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai, okay. Good luck with that. I want to go to Psalm 17, verse 5. Hold up my going in thy path, that my footsteps slip not. Verse 6. I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me. O Yahweh, incline thy ear unto me, and hear my speech. Verse 7. Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that saves by the right hand, which is Yahweh Shai, them which put their trust in thee, from those that rise up against them. And that's what happened. The Edomites rise up against us. To this day, they still want to keep us in slavery. Now, by the way, all nations around the world, right? China, Africa, okay, and I can go on, have put us and kept us in slavery. Okay, there's a price to pay for that. I want to go to Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 16. Thy words were found, and I ate, and I did eat them, Slakia. And thy word was unto me the joy and rejoicing of my heart, of my mind. For I am called by thy name, O Yahweh's power of hosts, of army. See? When we go into the highways and byways to read the judgment of this wicked kingdom and this wicked world system of these banksters, right? We also call our people to repentance with fear and trembling, right? It's tough love, but we're calling you out to say, hey, wake up. We are closer more today than ever before, okay? For them to implement the MOTV, the Caragba, the C-HIP, right? They want to turn everyone into cyborgs, okay? I'm going to go to Job 23 again, verse 10. This is a good video, I like it. Verse 10. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Now, there's two ways that you can come back as gold. Repent with fear and trembling and do the work in the name of Yahweh Shai. You men and women, because we do have women that have repented and are doing the work of Yahweh Shai. Quietly, right, behind the scenes, and honor to them. Okay? Or keep giving the finger, you so-called Negros, Latino, and speckled birds, and he will throw you into the lake of fire to cleanse you so you can come back to the new kingdom as babies. So I leave it with this. Wisdom of Solomon. Chapter 8. I'll start with verse 1. Check this out. Wisdom reaches from one end to another. Mighty and sweetly do she order all things. Verse 2. I love her. I sought her out from my youth. I desire to make her my spouse. Woo! And I was a lover of her beauty. Verse 3. In that she conversates with Yahweh, she manifestate her nobility. Yea, the Yahweh of all things, her things of all things himself loves her. Verse 4. For she is privy to the mystery of knowledge of Yahweh and a lover of his works. Privy, sharing in the knowledge of someone or something, Salakia, secret or privately. Wow. Talking about true love. Verse 5, if riches be a possession to be desired in this life, what is richer than wisdom that works all things? Verse 6, and if prudent works, who of all that are is a more cunning workman than she? And I leave it with verse 7. And if a man loves righteousness, her labor are virtue, for she teaches temperance, prudence, justice, and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. So remember, it's talking about wisdom from above and not wisdom from below. I hope that this was edifying, and with that I'll say Shalom.